All right. Hello, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Glew University. Excited to have everybody. We will get started in maybe 30 seconds to a minute, just looking at the people filing in. It looks like we have quite a big crowd today, so I'm just going to give everybody some time to load in or sign in. While we're waiting, if you want to just say, hey, your name, maybe where you're from, what store you're with, if you have any coupon codes you want to share or anything like that, that also works. Or if you want to be quiet and shy, you're also welcome to do that too. But like I said, we'll get started here in just a couple of seconds. I think we have a shy crowd. No one said hello yet. I'll say hi.
Me too.
Hey, Lindsay, how you doing? At least we got one. All right, Brooklyn, awesome.
Awesome. New York.
Hey, Nihar, how you doing? That's awesome. I don't know why it says one. It's your number one.
Brooklyn times 2.
Nice.
Another New York. That's awesome.
Well, cool. All right, well, let's get started. I'm sure you guys want to hear about purchase frequency. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And unfortunately, I will have to hide my camera, so don't be too sad. And Haley can do the same. All right, awesome. Cool. Slideshow. Great. So for today's Glew University, we are going to take a deep dive into purchase frequency and ways to optimize it and drive LTV. So your hosts today are myself, Christian. I head up our client success team here, specifically on the Glew Pro side. And Haley, you can introduce yourself as well. I think Haley may be on mute. Haley is also on the client success team, so I'll go ahead and introduce her. So we're excited to have her on the call today as well. Awesome. So for the agenda today, we're actually going to go through some specific areas within the application where you can find purchase frequency. We'll cover specific metrics and definitions. We'll talk a little bit about how to actually take that information and build reports out of it. And then at the end, we'll do an FAQ and resources. Cool. So purchase frequency. What is purchase frequency? So it's a pretty basic definition of purchase frequency, but it's essentially how often are people buying from you? So there's essentially two types of businesses. There is going to be a company that is AOV heavy or purchase frequency heavy. AOV heavy means that you're a business who you probably spend a lot of time in the pre-sale. And when your customers do buy, it's a very large amount. Right? It's a big order. It's either a high cost product or, just a ton of things in one order. But your customers aren't typically buying again and again and again. You can think like maybe mattresses, online mattress sales, things like that. Purchase frequency heavy customers are going to be much more common in the e-commerce space. You can think of somebody who's selling like hot sauce, right? You want people to buy your hot sauce, love it, and continue to buy it, try all your different flavors. So that's what we're going to be focusing on this call today, is that sort of a business. So obviously understanding which type of a business you are, I'm sure you have a good idea, but we'll definitely help you in your journey as an e-commerce store. Purchase frequency brands' main focus is to rely on data. So where are our benchmarks, understanding what data is important and what drives purchase frequency. And also, the biggest thing with purchase frequency is going to be customer loyalty and treating customers the right way, providing high quality products and getting them to stay with you for a long, long time. So there is a lot of different models for purchase frequency. There's different metrics, there's different ratios and percentages and things like that. So we're going to talk about a few of them that are in Glew today, ones that we find very important. And then we'll talk a little bit of how to actually set those benchmarks and then take action from there.
Awesome. So now that we have a full understanding of purchase frequency and what that means, now we can really take it to Glew and make it actionable inside of there. So here's how we're going to be able to set up those benchmarks and, add these metrics to a report, watch them grow over time once we make those decisions. So the first one is through multiple purchases. So our multi-purchase report. To get there inside of Glew, you're going to go to customers, customer segments, select that multi-purchase purchasers or single purchase customers. Once you get into the segment insights there, you're going to be able to scroll down and see this beautiful pie chart here. So essentially what this is doing is it's breaking your customers into 3 groups. So you have your 0 purchase customers, you have their email but no order from them, and then you have your single purchase customers. Most businesses will fall into this single purchase and will bottleneck here. So that's completely normal. But obviously the goal is, how do we get that red, the multi-purchase customers, the biggest piece of this pie? And so that's exactly what we're going to want to go over today. So how do we get that group to be the biggest? Also, keep in mind that we can add any of these metrics with the 3 dots in the right-hand corner to a report. Maybe we make an average purchase frequency, report, and then watch these, different segments grow over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next great area for this inside of Glew is going to the customers and then lifetime value. And then you'll see a drop down and you're able to look at the purchase frequency of our customers. So this is going to be the lifetime of your store. So keep that in mind when you are looking at this chart. But with that being said, it's a great benchmark. The average purchase, this is the average purchases they would make. And you, of course, want this number to be as close to 2 as possible. You're probably going to be around 1 to 1.5 at the stronger end of the businesses. But that's where you want to, focus on, and that should be your goal as a company. And again, it's great that we can watch this over time. And, if we're not where we want to be yet, you can watch it and make those decisions to get you there. The next one is repeat customer rate. So this is a great section as well. So this is going to be in the same area as the purchase frequency drop down. You'll just drop down and see the repeat customer rate. So obviously this is giving us a percentage of how, the average time between that first and second purchase. Typically, we see this number around 20%. That's a healthy margin. So if you're ever lower than that, we, want to get you to a point where you can focus on that and get you to that 20%. But anything over 20% to 25 is a strong number there.
Sure. This is our demo store. So if anybody's in the 50% repeat customer rate, give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And then new versus repeat. So to get here, we'll go customers and then lifetime value. This is great because, it's great to track how we're doing when we're balancing out that new and repeat customer. But when we're talking about purchase frequency, obviously repeat customer is going to be a very important factor. I would recommend setting up that benchmark here so that we can use this particular table to set up what ratio we're looking for in terms of that new and repeat. Overall, you'll probably want it to be a 3-to-1 ratio. So every, 3 new customers you get, you're getting 1 repeat. But always good to keep this as a benchmarker and see where you're landing here so you know where you need to grow as a business.
Absolutely. So just to kind of put a bow on this section here, the first kind of stage in driving purchase frequency is setting those benchmarks. So these are going to be the 4 sections within Glew we highly recommend using as your benchmarks. Just to reiterate, we're going to start with the multi-purchasers using this graph here. Definitely click those 3 dots as Haley mentioned and pop those into a report. You can actually take all 3 of these separate metrics and put them under one dashboard in Glew. What you do on the first one is click it, and you'd see in your account, if you're logged into Glew, it's going to say add to new report. You'd click that. You would select if you want it to be daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. I typically say monthly for these kind of larger metrics. And then for these each additional ones, you would add them in as add to an existing report. You can name that, purchase frequency benchmarks. have them maybe sent to you monthly the first of the month. It allows you to really track how your team's performing and driving those. So as we set the benchmarking statistics, let's talk about what we're going to do to actually drive those. So the first thing that we're going to look at is customers, right? Customers are going to be pretty important when it comes to getting people to buy again and again. They're the ones doing it. So within Glew, we're going to have a lot of different options on ways to slice up your different customer segments. We've gone ahead and decided what customer segments we think are very important. One of them is going to be repeat customers. So you can look at any date range here. One of the benefits of repeat customers is this is going to show you in the last 30, 60, 90, the last 365 lifetime of your store, customers that have bought more than once. In doing so, if you go into that segment and you scroll down, it's going to show you that customer group. You can export those customers out. You can use them in Facebook lookalike audiences, right? Let Facebook go find people that are similar to people who are already purchasing multiple times from you. You can also do, push that segment over to Klaviyo or MailChimp and do different segmentations. Let Glew be the decider because we're pulling in from your shopping cart as the true source of orders and customers. Push that over to Klaviyo. So again, using repeat customers is really valuable. There's a secondary piece to this as well. If you scroll to the very bottom of any customer segment, you'll also see products purchased. This is really valuable as well because you get to see, okay, cool, my repeat customers, here they all are, but what actually products do they consistently have in the bundle of a repeat customer buying journey? So again, to highlight that's you're going to customers, customer segments. You click the customer segment, you're going to see segment KPIs, and then scroll down, and you'll see all those different metrics. Multi-purchase customers in lifetime we just talked about with Haley. That's going to just show you as an entire store over your lifetime where your biggest bottleneck is. Another really good one for a Facebook lookalike audience is going to be your most active customers. You can kind of think of this as, similar to like your VIP type customer. These are customers who we're not necessarily looking just at the dollar that they're spending, but how often that they're buying. So they're very active with your store. These are customers that, send to Facebook, maybe send some personal emails, get some insight to what they're looking for. Use these kind of customers to drive certain behaviors. There's also a ton of custom segments. So in addition to us predefining segments for you in Glew, you can actually go out and create your own segments. When you pop into your customers tab, just click customers, customer list, and then you can see all customers. From there, you'll click edit filters. In that dropdown, you're going to see a lot of different options. I won't go through every single option because it'd probably take a few hours, but I'm going to focus on a few different kind of like high level things. The first one we want to look at is going to be obviously purchases. You can use things like, orders is equals 1. So we want to segment out just our one-time buyers. And then you can add in, different KPIs on top of that. You could add in, channel, where did they come from? And do targeting that way, right? You could I've had some customers who actually do things like, they look at their average purchases by customer, and they actually do, 2 times that. So let's say your average customer buys 1.3 times. Well, maybe we make it 4 times. So we do customers orders is greater than or equal to 4. We use that as a Facebook lookalike audience. I've actually had people say that's probably one of the most successful lookalike audiences they've ever had in Facebook. So if you're not doing that, I would definitely recommend doing that. I would probably pay for the subscription itself. And then the other ones you can do is things like, overall revenue plus orders. This gets a little bit more into the pulling in a little bit of AOV, but still on the emphasis of purchase frequency and loyalty. You can actually use things like tiering out level of customers, right? You can say, hey, if anybody's spent and bought from me more than 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, You can have your bronze, your silver, your gold, your platinum. You can beta test different email pushes within Glew to over to Klaviyo or MailChimp. You can do things like, hey, if you are a platinum customer, right, you've made 5 purchases, maybe that's what you're defining it as. You can actually push them with like a special coupon code, a free product or something like that. And then you can actually, again, you're creating that segment in Glew. So as you push those over to your email marketing system, you have that segment already saved in Glew. So you can actually see how those customers are going to perform and change from there. So it can be really powerful. So I highly recommend, if you haven't played around with building custom segments, get in there and try a few, and then contact your CS rep within Glew. If you're a current customer, you should know who yours is. If you don't, let me know. If you're a prospective customer, when you do sign up with us, you do get an account rep who will assist you in taking action within Glew. Customer segments can be very long-winded, but I'll jump into customer tags. So customer tags, just so you guys know, we do pull in customer tags within the Glew system. We put them into a very nice, clean section here within Glew. So you can kind of think as within Glew, we actually pull in data points to filter customers by. You can use things, I know, in some shopping carts like metadata, data that's not necessarily like limited to specific points that we may have in Glew. So if you want to do more like in-depth, custom kind of tagging of customers, go ahead and do that. We'll pull that into Glew, and you can allow you to track those customers separately. So that's within customer tags. So secondary to customers, we also want to see what insights can we gain from products and how products actually drive customer behavior. So there's a few different things that I want to look at within our within our product section. So with under products in Glew, you're going to see segments. What I always recommend scrolling down to is most reordered products. This is actually really interesting for a lot of businesses because we've seen the subscription service e-commerce kind of companies blow up in recent years. So this is a good opportunity to see if customers, so like this is telling you, customer, have bought the same product this many times and what that leading product is. So I highly recommend taking a look in here and see if there's any trends here. I know, as a consumer, if I find a t-shirt that I really like, I'm going to probably buy it, especially if it's a white t-shirt. I like always somehow spill something on it. And I'll go back and buy that same white t-shirt if I find one that's reliable. So see if there's opportunity there in itself. If you can create some sort of some sort of subscription, again, that's going to make repeat purchasing a lot easier. So that's a quick little tidbit within Glew. So I'd definitely check that out. Another one to look at here is going to be customer lifetime value. So what you're going to actually do in your Glew account is you're going to pop into products. You're going to click segments. I recommend looking at hot products. Just shows you it's more of like a short-term view. Depending on what sort of products you sell, you may have, maybe you're a fashion brand and you're kind of what's in style changes really quickly. So this is just a good way to kind of keep an eye on what's happening close to the market, and especially within your customer base. So what we'll use is, and we'll just give it a good date range. So the first thing you want to look at is customer LTV. So in that table here, you'll see it in your Glew account. You can actually click this drop down and you'll see something called pin. You can pin over orders and LTV. So what we typically like to do here is we want to sort by orders first to kind of give us an understanding of, maybe we have one product that's our flagship product that gets a lot of people in the door. So that gives us like our benchmark of a high order, and then scroll down a little bit to see what would be considered statistically important amount of orders, right? And then we're going to look at customer LTV. So customer LTV is effectively the lifetime value of all customers who purchase a specific product. The reason this is really valuable in purchase frequency is because it's going to show us what products have a high customer LTV. So what that tells me as a business is, my consumers may like the Max Oxford shoe. So for whatever reason, if I can get somebody to buy this shoe, it typically is somebody who fits the profile of a high spender within my business. And that's why we always want to look at orders first, because you want it to be statistically significant. If you have one order of your belt and your customer LTV is $1,500, Well, nobody actually buys the belt except for one really rich guy who buys everything you have, right? So yeah, it'd be great to go find customers like that guy, but it seems like there's only one of them. So we want to find enough orders to where that matters. So again, use this information in your follow-up emails, right? If we have a high CLTV product with a good amount of orders, we want to start leveraging that in our emails, in our advertising. You can see, like, if you create a really strong creative ad with that product and you use that in your follow-up emails, one, you already know you have a customer who likes your brand, and maybe you catch their eye with this specific product that they hadn't seen yet in advertising. Another way you can use it, which is going to be a little bit more on the acquisition side of things, is in your advertising as well. You can look at things through the lens of, okay, well, I want to acquire a good customer to even start, and then they will just organically repeat purchase. So a really good one to do is that as well. So look at that CLTV. So CLTV can be extremely powerful in helping you understand what your customers are doing. So we talked about report creation. So everything I just showed you, I tried to include as many screenshots as I could. These three little dots are going to be your best friends. Anytime you find a metrics like this CLTV, you like the view, you like how it's saved, you like the time frame, click those three little dots and say add to my report. You can name it whatever you like, and you'd see here, you're going to see the name, and you can pop it in here. So when you log into your Glew account, instead of having to go through and kind of rebuild everything, you can actually just go ahead and have that report ready to go. Cool. Let me just take a quick sip of water. So to just kind of wrap this all up and keep this, short and sweet, best practices. So as a general rule on how we calculate LTV here at Glew, if purchase frequency increases, LTV will also increase, right? LTV is made up of AOV times purchase frequency. So what we're going to actually do, this is just a first part series in some Glew use. We're going to start with purchase frequency, then we're going to do AOV, and then we're going to tie a bow around it and talk about different ways to improve LTV. So to start, you have to get people to buy and buy and buy. So definitely target your newly acquired and at-risk customers, but obey your lapse point. So we're going to do a webinar specifically on lapse point, but I will highlight it here quickly for you. If you log into your Glew account and you go to store settings, you're going to see a metric called lapse point. Within your Glew account, it's going to be different for almost every business, but let's say you log in there and it's 100 days. If you click it, you'll actually see you have an option to change your lapse point. But let's say it's 100 days. So effectively what a lapse point is it is the amount of days you have to upsell a customer. So if I, Christian, came and bought from you, 100 days pass, statistically, the chances of me buying again become very low. So what we suggest in using that lapse point is you'll see this at risk. What that effectively is that is the last 20% of that 100 days. So people who haven't bought in 80 days. We have a segment for that in Glew. So I definitely recommend making sure you're targeting people in that at-risk stage because they're getting to the statistics of not buying again. Utilize the customer segments for communication. Obviously, if you have the bandwidth, dig into your different customer groups. In doing so, you always make consumers feel special when they get something that's targeted to them, right? If I have bought from you 3 times and I'm getting the same email as somebody who's never bought or bought once, it's going to be probably pretty easy to tell. I'm probably going to ignore it. If I bought from you 5 times and you send me, hey, you're a VIP, you're super valuable to us, here's a free hat if you on your next purchase, I'm going to buy from you again. There's literally no way I wouldn't do that. Again, look for opportunities for subscriptions or retention-based programs to get customers to come back. Look and see what products you may have that do have a high reorder rate. And then also know what's realistic. Set standards that make sense. We obviously always want to be improving. So that's why we definitely want to set a benchmark. If you jump in there to Glew and you see that your average purchases by customer is like 1.1, maybe it's our goal for 2021 to see that go up to 1.3. Maybe, jumping that up to 2 is probably going to be a little unrealistic. So set realistic benchmarks and push your team to push those forward. As far as FAQs and resources, we're going to send this slide deck over to you after the call today. In doing so, you can access any of this information. You can reach out to support at Glew. You can reach out to me directly if you have specific questions, if you want to get on a call with me, if you want to if you not sure who your account rep is and you'd like to be introduced to them. Yeah. Cool. So we will turn it over now to questions. Let me just stop sharing and I will pull up my face again. Okay, cool.
Right. So, Dennis, how do we specify which e-commerce sales channels on Shopify are used to generate these metrics?
Are you asking about which metrics, like POS versus like traditional web sales? I'll assume that's what you're asking. So what we'll pull into, if you're on Shopify specifically, we're going to pull in all of that data into one place. Now, what you can do is within your Glew platform, if you click those three dots again, you'll actually see a filtering option. So you can filter out different sales channels and sources from there. So I hope that answers your question.
Any other questions?
Was everyone able to see the, we'll send out the slide deck afterwards, but it looks like when I share my screen, I can't see the chat. So did everybody get caught up on the frozen? So what is a good ratio for returning customers versus new? So, I mean, to be bold, I would suggest like a 3-to-1 ratio would mean you're doing really, really well. I like to see that because obviously that means that your repeat purchase rate is going to be close to 33%, which is really strong. But more often than not, we'll probably see, depending a little bit where you are in your journey, if in your first 24 months, you'll probably start to see maybe like a 5-to-1, 6-to-1 kind of new versus repeat. We're spending a lot of money in advertising. We're trying to get people into the door. So, what I would obviously do is you want to keep advertising going, but make sure you have a really strong, communication to your one-time buyers and your multi-time buyers and have just some sort of consistent approach. Whether it's making sure that we have strong email campaigns, using our email systems, using our data, knowing our metrics and kind of pushing those forward. Because if you're, the great thing about Glew is being able to track those metrics. So you could say, hey, we have this idea of what we think, we're going to go do it. Well, you do it for 6 months and maybe it goes down, right? Okay, well, then we need to try something else. So Ryan said, thinking about customer LTV in general on byproducts, is there anything Glew allows you to get more granular and infer what those high value customers have in common, the channel they came into, demographics, etc.? There is a lot of different things that we can get within Glew within customer LTV. What I would probably start by doing is define what is your goal LTV. So you can actually go into Glew and you can click customers lifetime value and get your just standard LTV. And then let's say you want to go into customer segments and create a list of people you'd say like, hey, these are my ideal LTV customers. Yeah, I know my average LTV is 100, but I want to look into my 300, 400, 500 LTV. So what I typically use is two metrics. I use lifetime revenue and lifetime orders. I'll maybe look at the last 2 years, year and a half. If you save that as a segment, maybe do like 2.5 times LTV as the revenue. Save that as a segment. You can say like sample VIP customers. When you save that as a segment, if you click, it's going to create a custom segment. When you click in that custom segment, it's going to give you all of the KPIs that we have around those customers. So you'll be able to see their products. You'll be able to see the customers in that group, their purchasing history, when they're buying the most. So that'd probably be a really good starting point. If you are looking for deeper and deeper metrics outside of Glew, we do have an offering called Glew Plus, which is basically more data, and it just allows you to build things outside of Glew. So if you are interested in kind of knowing if there's more beyond Glew, you may be at that point of a business where you have grown out of it. Obviously, there's still going to be a ton of value in it, but maybe you want to answer some different types of questions. Just let me know. I can walk you through it. What are best data points to analyze in order to calculate an appropriate lapse point? So we actually do it for you, which is the nice thing within Glew. So if you go into your store settings and you look at lapse point, it'll tell you what we think. It's an algorithm that we came up with, so it's proprietary to us. But what I would actually do is look at that. It's a good starting point. That's what Glew is going to say. We're just looking at your data and saying, hey, here's on average when people stop buying again. So as long as you're getting in front of that lapse point, you're going to start to see it. You're going to start to repeat purchasing go up. But again, we do allow you to change it based on your knowledge of your own business. But if you can kind of think about it logically, like a lapse point of 100 days is kind of the benchmark we use. That's common for most, like fashion brands, more consumable products. I have like a customer who sells calendars. So, their lapse point is going to be a little bit more logical and less data driven, right? Lapse point is when people aren't going to buy from you again. So you may have customers who buy a calendar, but then they buy 3 more for everybody. So that may skew your lapse point a little bit. So maybe you say, well, I want to use like 365 days as my lapse point because I know that I can't consider somebody a lost customer until after a year. So we'll tell you what we think it is in the platform itself. It's automated. But if you do have any questions, you want to kind of chat it out with us, just set up a time with your rep and they'll go through it with you.
Christian, I can take this one. So the best way because in the customer LTV area of Glew, it is based on the lifetime of your store. But a good way to get around this would be to the customer segments area. So whenever you go to, let's say you wanted to know the LTV of a group of people, maybe it's, your customers in the last 30 days, you can create that segment in Glew. And then when you go into the segment details area, you'll be able to see their specific LTV. And that's just a way to get around that being an entire lifetime metric. Christian, I don't know if you want to say anything else there.
Is that David's question you were answering?
Yeah.
So, we do get this question a lot about removing customers that would skew data. There is, you can obviously use specific filters to remove that customer, things like email, and just say email is not, and then it'll show everybody else that is not that email. So there's ways to get around it. David, if you want, feel free to we can give you like kind of a quick rundown of that, but it's pretty simple.
Yeah, for sure. I would start with the customer list area though. I feel like that's probably the best way to get specific there.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we have the LTV, like I can show in that lifetime value section of Glew that is like your lifetime store. And then any of those individual customer segments you create will have their own LTV.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, we'll give it maybe like 30 seconds for some more questions. And let's just see if I'm trying to think if I missed anything.
One thing that we did want to mention is that this year we have been named a finalist in the Yotpo Partner Awards for 2021. So just wanted to shout out to Yotpo. We're really thankful for our partnership with them and really honored to be mentioned there. So
yeah, it was an honor and we're really excited about that. So shout out to Yotpo. You guys are great. Cool. Ryan's got one more. We talked about a goal of improving frequency or LTV. Does Glew provide cohort level view of this by month acquired? So we actually don't do it out of the box, but we do have a webinar It's called Demystifying Cohorts Within Glew. And then we have a like Excel file that we can share with you and walk you through how to do that. Building out cohorts is something that we've thought about for some time, but there's a way to do it in Glew. It just requires a little bit of some manual work. Cool. I don't want to miss any questions. If you do have any questions and you think of it tonight, you're like, crap, I should have asked Christian that. Feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer that for you, or Haley as well. So I just wanted to say thanks again. We had a huge audience tonight. So it's great when we get our customers and prospects and just the community of e-commerce all together to chat about cool things like purchase frequency. So hopefully all of you will sign up for the AOV as well. The next Glew we're actually doing is just a Glew 101, which is going to be just a basic training on the platform. It's going to be a little bit high level. We will get into some aspects of the platform that are a little nitty gritty, but so for that one, definitely sign up if you want just a refresher. There's a lot to Glew, so I'm sure we could all use it here and there. And then the next one will be AOV. So definitely sign up for that. We'll talk about ways how, when people do buy again, how do we make those orders full of stuff? Awesome. Thank you, Deborah. We appreciate you. Awesome. Well, cheers, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. And we look forward to seeing that purchase frequency go up, up, and up.
Thanks, guys.